Newsfirst at 9. Headlines.
A very good evening to you and welcome to News at 9, coming to you live from the Newsfirst Centre here in Colombo. I'm Stephanie Lazarus and here are your headlines. Former Inland Revenue Commissioner who pleaded guilty over the VAT scam sentenced to 102 years in prison. Talks between locomotive engineers and authorities conclude successfully. Investigations underway over the delay in train services. EU ambassador in an exclusive says that the bloc is concerned about the resurgence of terrorism in the north of the island. Questions raised in Parliament on those involved in the illegal elephant trade. And those for your, on international news, Thai government pushes for elections despite political turmoil. And those were your headlines. Let's now cross over to the main desk for a more comprehensive look at these stories.
Well, thank you very much, Stephanie. A very good evening to you and welcome to your primetime news bulletin. I'm Shahin Jarongpati.
A very good evening. I'm Mahina Bongzo. Here's a look at your local news for tonight. The former Deputy Commissioner of the Inland Revenue Department, A. Gnanasiri de Soiza Jayatillaka, was sentenced to 102 years behind bars today. The sentence was handed down by the Colombo High Court Judge Kumudani Vikramasinghe when the case against the suspect was taken up today. A. Gnanasiri pleaded guilty to VAT tax fraud amounting to 3,999 million rupees and 34 other charges filed against him. He was sentenced to serve a 3-year sentence for each charge that totaled to 102 years in prison. He was also ordered to pay a fine 3 times the amount that he defrauded.
දැන් මේ දැන් සතියක් දෙකක් තිස්සේ හැමදාම පැයක් පරක්කුයි.
මගින්ට අවහිර නොවන විදිහට ඉක්මනට යන්න පුළුවන් නම් හුඟක් හොඳයි.
අපිට රාජකාරියට යන්න ගොඩක් ප්‍රමාද වෙනවා.
අපි වගේ මේ දුප්පත් මහ ජනතාව අපහසුකමක් විඳින්නේ මේ දුම්රිය මේ වේකෙන්.
Commuters were inconvenienced due to the delay in train services this morning. 25 train turns were thus delayed as the locomotive engineers unions had resorted to operate trains in accordance with the safety regulations.
A train transporting fuel from Galle to Colombo Fort collided with a stationary train at dawn yesterday. The most recent incident prior to yesterday's accident occurred when the Rajarata Rajana Express train collided with the Datakirula Intercity Express train in Potahara in Kurunagala on the 30th of last month. Following the accident, the Locomotive Engineers Union decided yesterday to operate trains by focusing solely on safety measures until the signal errors are rectified. This morning, 23 of the 45 office trains were delayed by more than 10 minutes according to the Railway Control Room. The Railway Control Room states that they have not been informed about the trade union action carried out by the Locomotive Engineers Association.
We are committed towards transporting people on time because people are the lifeblood of the country. We work towards that end. So the inability to provide that service is a mental stress even for us.
How do you monitor whether operations are taking place in accordance with the timetable provided by the Railway Department? Do you receive such a report?
Yes, we monitor every train daily. This is because railway operations are carried out through 3 railway control rooms in the island.
Do you receive reports of certain engine drivers who operate trains prior to the time mentioned on the timetable?
Operations do not take place prior to the scheduled time. However, sometimes it can happen a minute or two before due to signal failures or engine errors, but that is very rare. Our drivers operate trains according to railway safety regulations.
However, they have staged the trade union action after adhering to all safety procedures.
The Railway's General Manager has informed the officials to take action if there are any delays in train services.
Are you aware that 23 office trains were delayed today?
මේකට ප්‍රමාද වීමට හේතුව
The Railways General Manager informed the officials to look into the delays. If there are delays, action needs to be taken to rectify these mistakes.
අපේ දෙපාර්තමේන්තුවේ අඩුපාඩුවක් තියෙනවා නම් ඒක අපි සකස් කරගන්න ඕන.
ගමන ආරම්භය සහ ගමන අවසානය කියන අපි
If you take the beginning and the end of a train service, there may be delays. This is because when you adhere to safety regulations of a train, there may be train delays. This is inevitable. We regret the inconvenience caused to the passengers.
මේදී මගින්ට වෙන අපහසුතාව පිළිබඳ අපි කනගාටු ප්‍රකාශ කරනවා.
දුම්රිය ආරක්ෂක නීති රීති ක්‍රියාත්මක කරපු කරනයි කියලා මේ
We cannot accept train delays simply on the ground of safety regulations. This is because safety regulations were adhered to before as well.
අපිට පිළිගන්න බෑ. මොකද දුම්රිය ආරක්ෂක නීති රීති එදත් ක්‍රියාත්මක වුණා, එදත් පිළිපැද්දා, අදත් පිළිපදිනවා.
විශේෂයෙන්ම සන්නාජෝස විවෘත කිරීමේ ක්‍රමවේදයක්
There are shortcomings in the signal system. Problems are also encountered when removing speed limits. There are problems relating to the overall operations at the Railways Department. There are also issues relating to the engines, carriages and brake maintenance. You could update all these areas and ensure that train services operate without delays.
මේ දවන කාලසටහන අනුව දුම්රිය ධාවනය යථාර්ථ කළ දෙයක්ද?
Meanwhile, a meeting was held between the Locomotive Engineers Union and the Deputy Minister of Transport at the Ministry of Transport today. General Manager of Railways P. R. Ratna also attended the meeting.
ගැටලු ප්‍රශ්න වගේක් තිබුණා ඒවා විසඳගෙන
There were several issues. However, all parties decided to solve these issues and work towards improving the railway services and creating a good image about the department in the eyes of the customers.
හොඳින් පවත්වාගෙන යාම සඳහා සියලු දෙනාම එක ස්ථාවරයකට පැමිණියා.
මේදී අපේ ඉල්ලීම් සලකා බැලීමේදී විශේෂයෙන්ම දුම්රිය රියදුරු සමග
When considering our request, we focus attention on obtaining a direct communication system between the driver and the control room through the latest technology. A positive approach was taken to resolve the issues that have cropped up relating to the complaints on train drivers. The issues will be resolved during a meeting with the participation of the Additional Railway Superintendent, Chief Engineer and the Chief Signal Engineer in a month.
ආරක්ෂාකාරී තහවුරු වන ආකාරයෙන් ඒවා නිවැරදි කර යුතුයි කියන කාරණේ පිළිගනිමින් යම්කිසි සුබවාදී ප්‍රවේශයක් මේ ඉල්ලීම් සම්බන්ධයෙන් ගනු ලැබුවා.
A commemorative flag in view of World Red Crescent Day was presented to President Mahinda Rajapaksa. The commemorative flag was presented to the President at Temple Trees this morning. The Presidential Media Unit said that Sri Lanka Red Cross presented a token of appreciation to the President at the ceremony. The death anniversary of the founder of Red Cross, Henry Dunant, is also commemorated today.
Mainstreaming youth in the post-2015 agenda was the main topic for discussion at the second main plenary session of the World Conference on Youth, which commenced at the BMICH this morning.
National Committee overseeing the implementation.
Secretary to the President Lalit Veeratunga was the main speaker of the plenary session today.
Throughout the years, ICTs have not had a more robust and loyal champion than the youth. They have effectively exploited ICTs to dictate the trends in the major growth industry and fostered it to generate youth entrepreneurship as a solution for youth unemployment. Be that as it may, these are not advantages that youth all over the world enjoy. For those in developing countries in particular, ICT access comes at an unaffordable cost. Looking at the draft Colombo Declaration on Youth, I see the powerful potential for ICTs to cut across many of its recommendations to strengthen their outcomes. But for this, governments must go beyond simply enhancing access and become actively involved in training and creating programs aimed towards the empowerment of young people.
Well, following the conclusion of the main plenary sessions, the delegates dispersed to participate in numerous roundtable plenaries and breakout sessions on a variety of topics, including achieving good governance and accountability, inclusive youth participation, youth rights, globalization, ending systematic inequality, gender equality and empowering marginalized youth. Florent Rajendran, Newsfirst, reporting from the World Conference on Youth 2014.
Thank you, Florine, for that update. Moving on, the European Union ambassador to Sri Lanka, David Daly, says that the EU is concerned about the resurgence of terrorism in the north of the island. The ambassador made this comment in an exclusive interview with Newsfirst Shamir Rasuldeen in Colombo today.
Resurgence of terrorism in the north. Is this a concern?
Well, I think the EU would be very concerned about the resurgence of terrorism in the north. This is not an issue to be treated lightly. We consider that the bringing of the conflict, a 30-year-old conflict, to an end was a great thing for the country and created wonderful new opportunities. So nobody could take lightly any question of that.
Mr. Ambassador, so the deployment of military personnel in the northern peninsula is justifiable in the eyes of the EU?
Well, we would say that having a military presence all over the country is justifiable. The question is, what is the balance? And that is something which, again, needs to be addressed internally on the island between the parties concerned. And if you speak about over-militarization, then you're talking about exactly that balance. So it's not an easy question to answer just like that.
Leader of the JVP, MP Anura Kumara Dissanayake, called on the government to reveal who is behind the wild elephant racket. He made this statement joining the adjournment debate in Parliament today. There is a business behind the stealing of elephants and the formulation of licenses. Mr. Speaker, let me highlight the value of this business. Based on this receipt, an elephant is priced at 11.5 million rupees. He had sold the elephant to another who had purchased it for this price. The elephant business is a big business today. Elephants are stolen because of this business. Just because you steal an elephant, that alone does not mean you can sell it. You need to formulate a license. What do you do to make a license? The elephant registry was stolen because they wanted to make a forged license. It was stolen and not misplaced. The elephant registry was not eaten by mice. All information was mentioned in the elephant registry. That is why the elephant registry was stolen. The Director General says that his signature has been forged. If so, who gave approval for the remaining? A letter is not directed to the Director General in an ad hoc manner. There is a hierarchy. If his signature was forged, does that mean all other activities connected are deemed null and void? Facts need to be presented. They have issued 2 licenses for 1 number. How can one do that? 2 elephants are registered at 1 location. Former officials are also connected to this. Now, while the parliamentarian raised questions in this manner, another successful raid was carried out in the Gannoru area in Peradeniya today. The raid was carried out based on a tip-off received that an unlicensed elephant calf was present in a home. Based on information received that an elephant calf was present in the Veterinary Sciences Unit at the Peradeniya University, a group of wildlife officers were dispatched. By then, the calf had been moved to the Gannoru area. The Assistant Director of the Wildlife Conservation Department, AADU Indrajit, noted that officers entered the house in search of the elephant. An individual came forward as the owner of the calf and also presented several documents. He noted that the elephant was admitted on the 5th of this month to the Veterinary Sciences Unit for treatment.
I came to see the animal this morning. I was told to take the calf away. I came in a small car. It takes time to bring a lorry from Horner, so I brought the elephant calf to this house, which belongs to one of my friends who belongs to a family of elephant owners. Both the calf and I cannot stay at the university. This house belongs to my friend, so I brought him here. I purchased the calf in 2007 from Mr. Nandadasa. It was around 2 years or 1.5 years. You really cannot tell the age. I didn't think we could save this animal. There wasn't anything wrong. They are carrying out their duty. However, I don't like the fact that they are attempting to say that this is connected to what is happening in the country at present.
However, according to Assistant Director Indrajit, investigations are continuing as there were discrepancies in the documents that were presented. He noted that although the documents state that the elephant calf is 9 years old, the calf is not that old.
We commenced our investigation based on information that elephant calves are stolen from forests and are being taken to various locations. We could not investigate that area last night, so we investigated it today. The calf has been taken to the veterinary sciences unit and had been treated there for 3 days. He had then been brought here by foot. We immediately came here, and since there was an issue with the license, we decided to carry out further investigations.
Attempts made to poach an elephant calf from the Galpaya area of the Udawalawa National Park was foiled. Based on information received, wildlife officials set out to the area in question with the approval of high-ranking officials within the department. The operation carried out by the wildlife officers also received the assistance of the police. Wildlife officials who were on the lookout encountered a tractor and a cab near the Gallena area in Udawalawa. The tractor was taken into police custody while its driver was arrested. However, according to the wildlife officers, the individuals travelling on the cab had threatened the officers present and had secured the release of the driver. The Newsfirst Gokarala correspondent Mahinda Pushpakumara, who was filming the events that transpired, was also assaulted by the individuals in the cab. Attention was drawn to this issue in Parliament today as well. Mr. Speaker, what happened in Udawalawa? The elephant calf was stolen. There were journalists as well as the police at the location. A tractor was also seized. The camera of the journalist was taken away. There were photographs to prove this. There were photographs of the vehicles which were at the location. What did the police do? They visited the house of the perpetrator and obtained the camera of the journalist and handed it over to the journalist thereafter. Is that the role of the police? Who gave them this power? Individuals at high positions are connected to this elephant theft. I wish to continue my speech. However, I will not proceed as the speaker is here. Parliamentarian P. Harrison, meanwhile, raised a question in Parliament on the missing domestic elephant record book.
There is a racket to steal elephants in the country. Not only elephants, but there is an organ racket in the country. We have taken steps in this regard. If you provide us with concrete evidence, we are ready to take actions on these leads. However, the opposition has not done so. We request the opposition to assist us. The
minister asked us to give leads on the locations of elephants. Minister, I will provide you with details at this instance. I am disclosing this information with responsibility. The house of down Deval Road, Maharagama. There are 5 elephant calves there. Even you visit this house. Arrest him if you can. There are elephants at... There are 2 elephants in the Migoda house. Disclose whether it is an elephant or a tusker. There is an elephant at... in Horana without a license. There is another elephant at the... If you can, tell us that you took into your custody all 5 elephant calves. I reveal the number and also the locations.
I pledge to this house that the necessary action will be taken in this regard in the coming few weeks.
If you provide all the information here, the elephant calves may vanish. Be cautious.
Minister of Education Bandula Gunawardena says that the teacher vacancies in the island will be filled even by violating the teacher constitution. Speaking in Parliament today, the minister said that there are 1,047 vacancies for English-speaking teachers across the island. The Minister of Education made this revelation in response to a question posed by UMP parliamentarian Sajid Premadasa.
Minister, you said there are 1,047 vacancies. I want to know why the government has not given priority for this in the national agenda and allocate the necessary funds to recruit teachers as a matter of urgency.
Mr. Speaker, the problem here does not lie on the necessary funds. there is a priority. There is a teacher constitution. According to the constitution, we can only recruit teachers based on two methods. A. We can recruit graduate teachers. B. We can recruit trainee teachers for a period of 3 years. This is a problem relating to the management of human resources. As you are well aware, for a long period of time there were no qualified English language graduates. This is because no graduate programs were conducted in English or Tamil. Hence there is a dearth of English speaking teachers in the island. This is why I have drafted a cabinet paper requesting approval to recruit English diploma holders. This, however, will be done in violation of the teacher constitution, and that is why cabinet approval has been sought to recruit diploma holders. There is no issue about the finances.
ඒ කරන්න වෙන්නේ ගුරු ව්‍යවස්ථාවට පටහැනිව. පටහැනිව කරන නිසා කැබිනට් මණ්ඩලයේ අනුමැතියක් ඉල්ලලා තියෙනවා. ඩිප්ලෝමා ධාරීන් අරන් මේ පුරප්පාඩු ටික පුරවන්න. මුදල් පිළිබඳ ප්‍රශ්නයක් නෙවෙයි.
United National Party parliamentarian Ravi Karnanayake, raising a question in Parliament today, inquired as to why the CEPA trade agreement has not been implemented as yet. Responding to the query, Deputy Minister of Industry and Commerce Lakshman Basanta noted that the trade with United States is continuing even without the agreement.
You noted that since 2004, 7 meetings have been conducted. You know that the CEPA agreement was available for Sri Lanka in June 2004. Why haven't you been able to implement this agreement? I was the Minister of Trade then.
Exports and investments are continuing without hampering this agreement. We are continuing our discussions to implement this agreement. However, we are continuing to export goods to America as well.
Now moving on to business news, the Consumer Affairs Authority has made it mandatory for all pharmacies to maintain a price list of all medications available. Director General of the CAA, J.M.A. Douglas, says that the list should be provided to customers who request the prices of a prescribed medication.
The Consumer Affairs Authority of Sri Lanka commenced regulating the price of medicine since January this year. It was decided that price of medicine need to be maintained at the current price, and if a price increase is required, the CAA needs to be consulted for permission. The Consumer Affairs Authority also decided that the price of medicines need to be displayed on the packing of the medicine. The authority says that at times consumers are not afforded the opportunity to know the actual price of certain medicines.
Sometimes a can may contain over 1,000 pills. Therefore, the customer cannot ask the unit price and the salesperson will not say to the customer. We decided to formulate a price list and be displayed where a customer has easy access to.
The Director General of the CAA said that it will be made mandatory for the pharmacies to maintain the price list in all 3 languages, and legal action will be taken against those who fail to do so.
Taking a look back at one of our headline-making stories this evening, the former Deputy Commissioner of the Inland Revenue Department, A. Nyanasiri de Soiza Jayathalaka, was sentenced to 102 years in prison to be spent in 3 years. The sentence was handed down by the Colombo High Court Judge Kumudini Wickramasinghe when the case against the suspect was taken up today. A. Nyanasiri pleaded guilty to VAT tax fraud amounting to 3,990 million rupees and 34 other charges filed against him. He was also ordered to pay a fine of 12 billion rupees, 3 times the amount he defrauded. Moving on in more local news, the final rites of the police sergeant who was abducted and killed in Kurunegala took place today.
The body of the late police constable Chandana Sampath was placed at his residence in Aragama, Gokarala this morning. Mourners in their numbers visited the area today as well to pay their respects. Senior DIG of the Northwest, Jagat Abe Sirigunwardana, and DIG Sarath Kumara were present for the funeral representing the Inspector General of Police. Chandana Sampath was promoted to the rank of sergeant as he died in the line of duty.
Several teams have been deployed to conduct investigations. The Criminal Investigation Department is also heading an investigation based on the instructions of the IGP. We are receiving information from various sources and investigations are being carried out based on those leads. We will solve this crime.
The cottage was taken to the burial grounds following religious observances. The funeral took place with full police honours. Meanwhile, a corpse was discovered in a marshy land down Godallamawatha in Angoda today. The deceased had been identified as 55-year-old Nisanka Rajapaksa.
Now, today's new report was filed by Nuranga Samarasinghe from Anuradhapura. An accident occurred in Pujani, Anuradhapura when a three-wheeler veered off the road this afternoon. Two individuals who were travelling in a three-wheeler at the time of the accident are receiving treatment at the Anuradhapura General Hospital. Well, starting off sports with cricket, Sri Lanka won the two-match ODI series against Ireland today when the second ODI was abandoned without a ball being bowled. Now, Sri Lanka won the first ODI on Tuesday by 79 runs. Moving from cricket to athletics, Chandrika Subhashini clinched gold in both the 200 and 400 meter events at the Thailand Open Athletics Championships today.
Chandrika Subhashini completed the 200-meter women's, clocking 24.3 seconds at the finals of Thailand Open Athletic Championship. She won the 400-meter event in 53.3 seconds. Meanwhile, Mohammad Rajasthan won the 200-meter men's running in 21.35 seconds. MSM Salimdeen won the silver medal in the 400-meter men's event. Sri Lanka has won 6 medals in total, inclusive of 4 gold medals, 1 silver and 1 bronze.
Before we conclude tonight's news bulletin, recapping on one of our headline-making stories today. The former Deputy Commissioner of the Inland Revenue Department, A. Gnanasiri de Souza Jayatillaka, was sentenced to 102 years in prison to be spent in 3 years. For more details, log on to www.newsfirst.lk, where you'll find details of not only this story, but all the stories that we've been covering right here on News First. I'm Mahina Bongzo.
And I'm Shahan Jurangpati. We leave you tonight with a look at the weather forecast for the next 24 hours. Good night and take care.
Hotline 0114-896-896. www.newsfirst.lk. Feedback at newsfirst.lk.